What in the world is that? Oh, you don't. Oh, no. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is the State Court of Clayton County. Thank you for your patience. This morning, we're having the jail calendar and some arraignments have passed. I think I have another calendar for arraignments also this morning. So I'm going to call the names of the individuals on the calendar. If you're an attorney for one of these individuals, I'll expect to hear the announcement for you. If it's a petition, we'll go ahead and do the petition at the appropriate time, and then we'll address the other calendar. There's someone on here with the iPhone. Can you tell me your name, please? the person who's designated iPhone?
It might be me, Jessica Jefferson.
Okay, Ms. Jefferson, let me go ahead and put your name on here. All right, so Ms. Jefferson, all right, we'll call the calendar. The inmates are in the courtroom today, so hopefully we'll have good audio. The first person is Justin Bryant.
He's here, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, we're representing Mr. Bryant. We filed for a mental health evaluation. We're still waiting for the report for that one.
Okay. Are they any closer to getting the evaluation done, or do we know where we are in the status?
I'll have to look into it again, but and I can let you know.
Okay. All right. Next on the calendar is Kevin Jermaine Burrows. This is a motion to revoke bond.
Good morning, Judge.
Hi, Mr. Render.
Attorney Render here on behalf of Mr. Burrows. I'm kind of confused. We had this hearing 2 weeks ago on the motion to reinstate bond. The same facts were put on the record. Mr. Burrows is here in court with me. Apologies, I didn't get notice that this was virtual. I had Judge Mack upstairs, so I decided to come downstairs.
I'm sorry. Ms. John VA, what's going on?
I could not hear Mr. Renders. I didn't know what the question was.
We had the motion to reinstate bond about 2 weeks ago to give Mr. Burrows the bond back because he'd been picked up on a bench warrant. So he's wondering what this is about.
Yes, Your Honor. The motion to revoke this bond was for the violation of the bond, the contact that he had with the victim.
All right. So did we resolve that with the other hearing? I thought we had.
From my understanding, we did. She was on as she is now. You interviewed her, Judge, you questioned her. And
I did.
Right.
Ms. John VA, does the state have anything else to promote that I haven't heard from the previous motion?
Other than the contact that the defendant had with the victim, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I'm having very much difficulty hearing Mr. Render. I'm trying to fix my volume, so I'm
okay.
You're just asking me if I have different.
Yeah, because we interviewed them and I reiterated to her that she was not to have contact with him. My feeling is that she, for whatever reason, has no problems having contact with him. But I reiterated that she's not supposed to have contact with him. Did she come to you all and express that she was in fear or had any issues with him?
No, Your Honor, not prior to filing. No, Your Honor.
All right. So at this point, I think we're clear. I've reiterated to her that she's not to have contact with him. But from what I got in the hearing, it seems like she still has a thing for Mr. Burrows and doesn't mind having contact with him. I expressed to her on behalf of the court that that would not be a good idea for her or Mr. Burrows, and that any contact would have significant penalties. So I think with that being said, and having not heard nothing new since then, I don't know that the court has anything to hear at this point.
Those are my thoughts, exactly, Judge.
All right, so the Burrows motion is going to be dismissed. Motion to revoke bond based on the fact that the court has already heard on the record the situation between Mr. Burrows and the alleged victim in this case. There is nothing new since we had the motion to reinstate bond. And so at this point, the court is going to dismiss. And Mr. Render, you're excused at this time.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you as always.
All right, thank you, sir. Ezekiel Calhoun.
Your Honor, we were waiting on a mental health evaluation for that one, but I would actually like to speak with Mr. Calhoun if it's possible.
Okay,
He's
so,
here, Your Honor.
all right, so Deputy, you can, I'm not sure how y'all are working this, but Mr. Bryant, we're still awaiting a mental health evaluation. I haven't gotten any information that that's been done yet. Miss Han, have you had a chance to speak to Mr. Bryant to see if maybe he's being medicated in the jail and it's possible that he has had a turn for the better?
I have not. I can speak with him if that's okay this morning.
Okay, but just because I don't want to send him down, not knowing if his status has changed in any appreciable way. All right, thank you. Rodriguez Davis.
Your Honor, I'll need a breakout room with Mr. Davis.
Okay.
He's here, Your Honor.
Andre Durden.
He's out on.
Your Honor, I believe he's out on bond.
Okay, Deputy, you don't have Durden.
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Joshua Earl Johnson.
Your Honor, this case was closed. It's on an SSD.
Okay, so there's no, I guess he has a SSD pending. So we'll do a modification. Does anybody know how long Mr. Johnson has been in jail?
One moment, Your Honor, I'll check.
Thank you.
He's been in custody since November 8th, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Keith Fortson, if you can do a modification for Mr. Joshua Earl Johnson for the SSD and give him credit for time served on the amount that he owed, we can go ahead and wrap that case up today. Thank you. Kamarni Fonte Jones.
Your Honor, he's out to bond. He's bonded out.
Okay. Tyrone Antonio Merritt, is that a petition?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is, Your Honor, but we sent over a warrant dismissal yesterday. The case was paid in full.
Okay, so do we need to hear the petition?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and is he out already, or is he?
No, I'm waiting on the return of the warrant dismissal.
Okay, so I'll sign that and then we can get him released today. I have the packet you sent. I'll sign that and get that back to you right away.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Michael Mosley.
Your Honor, for the second, he has two cases, I believe.
Yes. Well, I have one because the next on the calendar is Skillings.
Your Honor, if I could speak with Mr. Mosley, I just need to check on something with him.
Okay.
Your Honor, did you call for Tyrone Merritt?
Did I call for Mr. Merritt? Yeah, we did. I think I did. Tyrone Merritt.
You did, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that he's being released today. As soon as I sign the release.
Your Honor, he has two cases though.
On the second
has
case.
two?
Yeah.
Who has
Merritt.
two cases?
Merritt?
Oh, I'm sorry, he does. So one has closed and then he has a speeding case.
Yes, Your Honor. I need to speak to him about that.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. All right, and Mosley, Joshua Skillings.
Your Honor, he's going to plead nolo to count 2 and count 1 is going to be no pros.
All right. Okay, let's bring out Skillings and let's go ahead and get that taken care of. And then that'll be one less person for the day. Do we have Skillings?
He's coming on now.
Okay, thank you.
Gonna go.
Mr. Skillings,
Yes.
raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down, sir. Mr. Skillings, you're before the court for case 2022-CR-05747, one count of affray and second count of public drunk. My understanding is, based on the representation from your attorney, Mr. Kamani, that you'll be entering a plea of no-load to count 2. Count 1 will be no pros per the state. By entering a plea of no load to count 2, Mr. Skillings, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Skillings, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On October 27th, the officer was responding to 609 Garden Walk Drive in Clayton County. Upon the officer's arrival, he made contact with Mr. Skillings. Mr. Skillings was laying on the floor in the apartment breezeway. The officer spoke with Mr. Skillings, and at that time, he determined that he had a prominent, strong odor of alcoholic beverage coming from his person. Mr. Skillings was questioned about the reason that he was called out, what happened. He denied anything happening at that point. Your Honor, that would conclude the facts. The state is recommending to null pros count 1 and a $200 fine for the public drunkenness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Skillings, do you have a job?
I did, but I just recently lost it. I should be able to get a job within the next week to the most, maybe, because it's hiring season.
Yeah, it is that, sir. Mr. Kamani?
Yes, Your Honor, he'll require 60 days to pay the fine.
I'm sorry?
He'll require 60 days to pay the fine.
Okay, so just the 60 days, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so
I should be able to have money in 60 days.
okay. All right, so Mr. Skillings, I'm going to accept your plea of no load to count 2. Count 1 will be no pros. I'll sentence you to pay a fine in the amount of $200. It's going to be $298 with the surcharges. You'll have 60 days in which to pay, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I have one question. Who
Yes, sir.
do I pay the money to?
I'm going to tell you. So when you're released, if you don't get your sentencing sheet, then you can come back into this building, go to the first floor, and you'll go to the state court clerk's office. They'll give you your sentencing sheet. It'll tell you the date that you have to pay. And they can give you information about paying online or by phone, okay? So if when you're released, you don't get something that says this is your sentencing sheet and tells you everything you're supposed to do, then you go back to the clerk's office on the first floor of this building, 9151 Terra Boulevard, and get your information, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Skillings, it's too dangerous out here for you to get so intoxicated that you're outside in the breezeway. Anything could have happened to you, sir.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was me and my brother. We was having a brotherly bond moment, and it took it to another level.
Okay, well, usually people sit in the garage, and take it to another level. They stay in the garage, then they could go right into the house or in the basement. Try not to do that in the breezeway, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. You can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to set up the breakout rooms. Ms. Khan wanted to go into the breakout room with the courtroom, and there was one person who wanted to speak with the state. Who was that? Okay, so I'll put both Mr. Kamani and Ms. Han in the breakout room.
Leonard, you can sit him down. So you can sit him down. Give me Brian and who else, John?
Okay, so we have still for breakout rooms, Bryant, Calhoun, Davis, and Merritt. And
Brian, Calhoun,
Mosley.
Davis, and Mears. Okay.
And Mosley.
And Brian, Calhoun, Davis, and Mosley,
Yes.
and Merritt.
And Merritt. Merritt has one other case still remaining.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna put the breakout room, I'm gonna put the defense attorneys and the courtroom in breakout room number 1.
All right, it is.
Thank you.
All right.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
while Ms. Horn speaks to her clients, do you want to complete the arraignment calendar?
Oh, okay, thank you. Because I forgot there was another one. All right. All right. Oh, thank you. Okay, for the second part of the arraignment calendar, I have Jessica Jefferson. That's Mr. Kamani. She's with Lister Holton Dennis, and then James Rodriguez McLean.
That's right, Your Honor. For,
All right, so
for-
Ms. Jefferson is here and Mr. McLean is here.
Yes, Your Honor. For Ms. Jefferson, she's going to plead nolo to counts 1. Count 2 is going to be no pros. Nolo to count 3 and guilty to count 4.
All right, Ms. Jefferson, can you bring up your video so I can see you, ma'am? Ms. Jefferson?
Give me just a second.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kamani, while we're waiting on Ms. Jefferson, do you have an announcement for Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. He's going to plead nolo.
Okay, Mr. McLean, may I see your video, please? Mr. McLean? There you are.
My bad. My video was tripping, and I'm in a hotel because I'm out here in Illinois for a job.
All right. Okay, so I just need you to be still because you're making me dizzy.
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Before the court on James Rodriguez McLean, for reckless driving on case 2020-CR-03417. You're represented by Mr. Kamani with the law firm of Lister, Holt & Dennis. And Mr. Kamani has indicated you're entering a plea of NOLO. By entering the NOLO plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. McClain, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On March 19th of 2020, a deputy during a traffic stop on Terra Boulevard and Mount Zion Road, where this occurred in Clayton County, came in contact with Mr. McClain as he was traveling approximately 100 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Once the officer made contact with Mr. McClain, he advised he thought he was only going about 40 miles over the speed limit. At that time, the officer did check for Mr. McClain's license, determined that it was suspended for a super speeder. That concludes the facts, Your Honor. The state is recommending a $500 fine for the reckless driving and a defensive driving course.
Okay. Mr. Kamani?
Your Honor, he currently lives in Illinois. So I believe the defensive driving course will be via probation, right, Ms. Janvey?
Yes.
So I was requesting if he could report to probation by mail.
All right, so this is what's going to happen. Mr. McClain, I'm going to accept your plea of NOLO. I'll send you to 12 months probation to pay a fine in the amount of $500 through $737.50 with the surcharges, and you're to take a defensive driving course or a driver improvement course. Now I'm going to ask you to take one that is approved by the Illinois Department of Driver Services or the Department of Motor Vehicles, whatever they call it in Illinois. Wherever you get your license in Illinois, go to their website and find a defensive driving course or driver improvement course is what they call it. They'll issue a certificate. We need you to submit that certificate to probation to show proof of having done it, okay? All right, and the last thing, so Mr. McClain, you're coming up with somewhat of a history for driving real fast and crazy. This was 2 years ago, so I'm going to assume you have matured since then, and you're not going to put yourself or others in danger by driving way over the speed limit like you don't have good common sense, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Now I don't do that because I got kids and stuff, so I be having to watch out for them.
Well, thank goodness, but 2 years ago, you weren't concerned about nobody else's kids, Mr. McClain. But if that's what it took to slow you down and to make you more responsible, then thank goodness. All right.
Yeah, because I have them with me all the time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is what I hope will happen. I hope you will get this good job that you're up there for. Make sure you report to probation, because the quickest way to mess up on probation is to not report. You got to report. Even if you're a little behind in making your payments or doing what you're supposed to do, you need to report. You hear me?
Okay.
Okay, this is the other thing. Phone and mail report, it's basically just mail report, but what they're going to do is provide you with a form. And I suggest, this is what I would do, that you go to the post office, stamped addressed envelopes. So you just keep those envelopes with you. Whenever you need to report, you pull up your form, you fill out your form, you put it in the mail. It's already done, okay? All right, so I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas may have even better ideas for how to successfully report. But listen to her, because she's the expert from probation, and she's going to get you signed up. Once you have finished speaking with Mrs. Thomas, you do not have to come back to the main room, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So good luck on getting that job. Thank you for changing your habits so that we don't have to worry when you on the road.
Yes, ma'am.
And go ahead and get your probation taken care of, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir?
he has a bench warrant. He missed a court date. He has a bench warrant. May that be recalled?
Yeah, Ms. John VA, if you could send over a bench warrant recall for Mr. McLean, we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. Thank you. All right, so Ms. Jefferson. Okay, there you are, ma'am. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. You're before the court for 2020 CR 02907, Jessica Jefferson. You're before the court for driving on a suspended or revoked license, count 1. Count 2, invalid registration. Count 3, no tag or expired or invalid tag. And count 4, no insurance. By entering a plea of no-load to count 1, count 2 will be no pros. You'll enter a plea of no-load to count 3 and guilty to count 4. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On February 20th, 2020, while on Highway 138 and Mount Zion Road, where this occurred in Clayton County, the police came in contact with a vehicle that was driven by Miss Jefferson with a 2018 decal. At that point, it initiated a traffic stop and requested her driver's license and advised that her tag had been expired. Upon the check through GCIC and CIC, the driver's license was suspended as of July 23rd, 2019. Additionally, it was determined that the Ms. Jefferson did not have insurance. The state is recommending $500 fine for the driver's license. This is the first and 5, driver's license being suspended. For the invalid registration, the state is making a motion to no pros. For the tag, the fine is $100. And for the no insurance, because this was second in 5 years, a $400 fine, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kamani.
Yes, Your Honor. I will request the court to accept the negotiated plea, and she wants to be on 12 months probation, pay only probation to pay those fines.
All right. So, Ms. Jefferson, the fine is, I'm going to accept your plea of no load to count 1. That fine will be $500. It'll be $737 with the and 50 cents with the surcharges. On count 2, that case, that offense will be no prost. Count 3, I'll accept your NOLO, and that fine will be $100. It'll be $151.50 with the surcharges. And count 4, I'll accept your plea of guilty. That's a $400 fine. That'll be, oh golly. It's going to be close to 500 and something with the surcharges. Do you wish you're going to be on 12 months pay only probation? And so 12 months pay only probation is, we will give you 12 months to pay the entire amount of fines and fees. But if you pay it sooner than that, your probation will end sooner. So if you pay in the 6th month or the 5th month, your probation will end then, and you no longer have to report. Okay. So it's always best if you pay as soon as you can, although I do notice that this is a lot. So Ms. Jefferson, it is always cheaper to keep your license in, and keep your car, make sure you're registered and have insurance, because if you don't, this is what will happen. And this happens repeatedly. The fines and fees go way, way up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas is going to explain everything that you need to know about probation. And once you're finished speaking with her, you don't have to come back to this main room. Just do what she directs you to do. Okay.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say the bench warrants that were sent out on last week for Ms. Jefferson and Mr. McLean, you did not sign them yet. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Kamani, I'll put you in the break room with the jail. You're in that room, so if you want to go ahead in. And
Yes.
that concludes the second calendar. Okay. All right. So we'll be back as soon as the attorneys are back from speaking with the individuals who are on the other
Your Honor, I have an announcement from Mr. Mosley.
Yes, Ms. Hahn?
Your Honor, Mr. Mosley is going to plead not guilty.
All right.
And then,
He's pleaded not guilty and wants a trial.
yes. As of right, I mean, he said he
wants a trial on driving on a suspended or revoked license.
Well, what he said was that he wants to plead not guilty because, and he wants to still talk with his other attorney. He has another case pending. So he was adamant about not taking the state's offer.
Okay.
So.
Does he have another case pending here in Clayton County, or he has it pending somewhere else?
I know at one point he had one in Fulton, I believe.
Okay, all right, that's clear. All right, so Mr. Mosley I presume he has a bond. The court's not inclined to change that bond, and I'll reflect his not guilty plea. So, did you need to speak with anyone else who was in the jail?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Bryant and Mr. Calhoun are ready. I'm just waiting for Mr. Kimani to be done in the courtroom, and then they'll be able to.
Okay, so for Bryant, he can go back to the jail?
No, he's going to be entering a plea.
Oh, okay.
As well as Mr. Calhoun. We spoke with, I looked in our internal notes, and we kind of came to the conclusion that the mental health evaluation isn't necessarily, it's not necessary for either of them. I think they understand what's going on, and you know.
Okay, cool. So Bryant at Calhoun.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So when the courtroom comes back, we'll be ready to move.
Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Your
Yes, Mr. Kamani?
For Davis, I have an announcement for Davis. He's going to plead guilty to counts 1 and 3. Count 2 will be will merge. And for Merritt, he's going to plead nolo to counts 1, and count 2, 3, and 4 will be no props.
All right. Bryant, please, deputy.
Your Honor, I don't know if I made it clear, but that was going to be a no-lo.
Okay, that's fine.
And this same with Calhoun.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please come here, Your Honor. Give me a second.
No problem.
Your Honor, additionally, if we could have the defense formally withdraw their mental health evaluation, if that is their intent to do so.
Well, I'm gonna go over that. Mr. Hahn, once Mr. Bryant is up, I'll ask you some questions, okay?
Mr. Bryant, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Bryant, do you know where you are today?
Yes, I do.
Okay, where are you, sir?
Clayton County Jail.
Okay, that is correct. And sir, how old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
How old?
18.
I'm sorry, it was just, I couldn't hear you. Okay, and do you understand what's going on here today?
Mhm.
Did you have any questions for me or your attorney?
I have a question, yes.
Okay, did you understand that you're entering a plea today to the offense before the court of simple battery?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now your attorney has indicated you wish to enter a plea of nolo, meaning a no contest plea. Is that your plea, sir?
Yes.
Okay, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Bryant, you can put your hand down. Since you've been in the jail, have you been receiving medication, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and do you feel like that medication has made you better able to understand what's going on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right, Ms. Hahn, do you have any concerns about Mr. Bryant's ability or competency to enter a plea today?
Your Honor, I do not.
Okay, and you have gone over with him the information and you believe that he was able to understand and assist in his defense?
Yes, I do.
All right, and at this time, do you feel a mental health evaluation is necessary to go forward?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Bryant, by entering a plea of nolo on the case 2022 CR 02429, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, sir, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, I do.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On June 23rd, 2022, an officer responded to 223 Medical Center Drive, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. At that time, when the officer made contact with the victim, Gail Thorpe, she advised that she was sitting at a computer doing work, and Mr. Bryant approached her for no reason and without saying any words, struck her on the left side of her face with a closed fist. She did not have any idea as to why he punched her. Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 15 days. The balance would be suspended, no contact with the victim, and he would be required to stay away from 223 Medical Center Drive, Your Honor.
Okay, and what's that Medical Center Drive? Is this in Riverdale?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's located there?
It's a behavioral health facility.
Oh, okay. Mm. Well, here's the concern. If that's where Mr. Bryant was getting treatment, how do we make sure he continues to get treatment and stays on his meds?
Your Honor, the state be willing to withdraw the stay away, the request for the stay away.
Can we say he can go back as long as he has no violent or harassing contact with any of the staff at that location? Any
Yes,
of the
Your Honor.
staff or the visitors?
That's acceptable to the state, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. All right. So anything else on behalf of Mr. Bryant, Ms. Han?
No, that's it.
All right. All right. So Mr. Bryant, I'm going to accept your plea. I'll sentence you to 15 days, 12 months to serve 15 days, balance suspended, credit since the date of lockup, so that you'll have no contact, no violent or harassing contact with anyone at the location of 223 Medical Center Drive, Riverdale, Georgia, which is the location of a behavioral health facility. Okay. All right. All right. Take care of yourself, Mr. Bryant. And Mr. Bryant, keep taking your meds, okay? Because it's so much easier to talk to you when you're on your medicines. All right. All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.
Who do you need next?
All right. Next. We want to do Calhoun.
Your Honor, I just wanted to make sure that it was on the record that the defense was withdrawing their request, formally withdrawing their request.
All right, Ms. Han, can you make a formal statement regarding the request for mental health evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor. We will withdraw our request.
All right, the record reflects that. All right, Calhoun, please. Ms. Val.
Mr. Calhoun, Your Honor.
Morning, Mr. Calhoun.
How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good. Sir, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. Calhoun, you're before the court for case 2022 CR 04827 Ezekiel Maurice Calhoun for obstructing an officer and criminal trespass. And Ms. Han has indicated that you wish to enter a plea today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Calhoun, you understand what we're doing today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you tell me where you are?
I'm at Clayton County Detention Center, ma'am.
Okay. And tell me the name of the attorney that you spoke with today?
I can't actually remember their names because I'm not good with names and numbers like that.
Okay. Can you describe the attorney? Was it a male or a female?
It was both. I was a male and a female.
Okay, that makes sense. That is true. All right. And sir, do you have any concerns about entering a plea today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Hahn, do you have any concerns that Mr. Calhoun will have any difficulty assisting in his defense today?
No, Your Honor, we spoke a few times. I feel confident he can enter a plea.
Okay. Mr. Calhoun, are you on any medication, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I'm on Cogetin and
Okay.
Gidon.
And these are medications that help you understand what's going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any concerns today that you might not be able to understand what's going on?
I'm actually on Depakote too.
Okay.
The medicine is not going to stop me from not knowing what's going on. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. just like to check. All right. So, Ms. Hahn, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
Okay. By entering a plea of nolo to counts 1 and 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And Mr. Calhoun, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hahn, at this time, do you have any concerns for Mr. Calhoun's competency?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and does the defense wish to withdraw the request for a mental health evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Janvier.
Yes, Your Honor. On September 5th, 2022, an officer was dispatched to the Walmart at 2940 Anvil Block Road, where this incident occurred in Clayton County. Upon arriving at the store, the officer was informed that Mr. Calhoun was causing a disturbance at the register. He was informed that he was no longer welcomed at the store and that he needed to leave. Mr. Calhoun refused to leave after several requests. At that point, he was being informed that he was going to be taken into custody. Mr. Calhoun then tensed up and started resisting the arrest. When the officer attempted to gain control of Mr. Calhoun, he started to elbow the officer in the head, Your Honor. That would conclude the facts. The state is recommending for the obstruction 12 months credit for time served. I was suspended a $300 fine, Your Honor, for the trespass. Time would be concurrent, so the 12 months and credit for the time, Mr. Calhoun has been in custody since September 5th, 2022.
If you could, that last part.
I'm sorry, it was breaking up, Your Honor. What did you ask?
Some of what you said was kind of hard to understand. Could you repeat the part where you talk about the count 2?
Oh, for the trespass, Your Honor, it would be concurrent 12 months credit for time served. The balance will be suspended. All
right, Mr. Calhoun, do you have the ability to pay the $444 that it'll be? It's $300 base fine, but it's $440 with the surcharges. Do you have are you currently working, sir?
Well, no, I thought it was they was going to drop the payment thing, but I know how to get a job. I can get a job and I can pay it.
All right, Mr. Kamani, were you I'm sorry, Ms. Hahn, were you going to speak on his ability to pay? I asked because what I don't want to happen is for somebody who may be receiving benefits to assist them with a medical issue, I don't want them to then have to use all of that money to pay fines and fees. If I can avoid that, I want to encourage rather consistent medical compliance.
Understood. I believe the
may.
promises. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Nabi.
The state is willing to null price count 1, Your Honor.
Okay.
And 12 months credit for time served, balance suspended for count 2, Your Honor.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, the court will accept the no pros to count 1. Count 2 will be 12 months credit for time served, balance suspended, as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. Mr. Calhoun, it's important to me that you continue to take your medicines, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And don't go back to this location, because even if I haven't put it in my order, there is probably a criminal trespass from the people who manage that location, okay?
I'll transfer. I just couldn't do it now.
All right, so you can go back with the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Oh, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Calhoun, thank you.
No.
All right, Davis, please.
Davis.
Okay, I need someone.
Mr. Davis, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Oh, you guys are muted, I think. Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true, Mr. Davis? Okay, you can put your hand down. You're before the court for State of Georgia versus Rodriguez, 2022 CR 05734, simple battery, family violence, count 1, simple battery, count 2, and criminal trespass, count 3. You're entering a plea of guilty to count 1 and count 3. Count 2 will merge with count 1. By entering this plea, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Davis, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. And additionally, Ms. Fatima Murphy, who was a victim in this case, is present and also wishes to be heard.
All right.
On October 28, 2022, an officer responded to 5900 Riverdale Road, apartment C9 in Clayton County. It was in reference to a domestic disturbance. Upon his arrival, he made contact with the defendant as well as the victim, where Ms. Murphy advised that Davis came into the room and began to her, and that she had to.
Ms. Johnvia, you went right out after Mr. Davis came into the room and nothing. So
okay, he began to push and shove her.
Okay.
He also grabbed her by the neck and headbutted her. She advised she did try to fight him off. And the physical altercation continued into the hallway where he punched a hole in the wall, Your Honor. The state is recommending for count 1, 12 months to serve 10 days. The balance would be probated, family violence intervention program, a $300 fine, and no contact with the victim. Additionally, for count 2 would merge. Count 3, 10 days to serve will be concurrent with count 1, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kamani?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, he's been in custody since 28th October 2022, so he's already served his 10 days. And Your Honor, regarding the recommendations, if Your Honor will be okay to make it no violent or harassing contact instead of no contact, Miss Murphy is on the Zoom call and she would like to have contact with him.
Okay, hold on. Miss Murphy, let me see you, please. Miss Murphy, are you in the hospital?
I just got out the hospital.
Okay, how are you related to Mr. Davis?
He's my fiance.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I had pushed on him first, and he was just pushing me back. To try to get me to stop pushing him. He the one that made the 911 call, because all he wanted to do was get his clothes and leave for a couple of days. Leave for a couple of days until things died down. He told the officers on the phone that we had worked it out and that we didn't need help.
Hold on, Miss Murphy. Hold on. Let me stop you. Okay. So the way our officers are trained, because over the hundreds of years that we've had issues and learned from issues of family violence, officers are trained to respond when they get a call and to respond when they get on scene to what the issues are that they see on scene. The reason for that is because so many times, even when it's a situation where a life may be in danger, the alleged victim of a family violence is so often going to say, everything is fine, I'm fine, nothing's wrong, take that person to jail. Hold on, Ms. Murphy, I'm going to just explain. So when you're in a situation where the police get called, you can't then say, okay, everything's fine, we're good, because they're going to respond to what they see. Now, they don't always get who the primary aggressor is and who's not the primary. They don't always get that right because they're seeing what happens afterwards. They don't see it from the beginning. But this is the issue that I have. If you and Mr. Davis are going to be together and you've indicated this is your fiance, which to me, that suggests y'all plan to get married. There is no, well, we just going to call the police when things get rough, or we're going to be physical with each other, because that's not a good relationship.
Well, I think
and I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Mr. Davis also, but I'm talking to you. At the point where it gets physical, where you're putting hands on someone, because my feeling is, male or female, if you hit somebody, expect to get hit back. That's just a given. It sounds kind of schoolyard, but I'm not one of those people who says, well, don't hit a woman if she hits you. My feeling is, if somebody hits you, they gonna get hit back. That's just human nature. What I say to you is, if y'all are gonna be together and you want this nonviolent or harassing contact, then both of y'all, not just Mr. Davis, because he's gonna be ordered to do counseling, but both of y'all need some counseling, because just getting married doesn't fix it.
I know that. I think we learned our lesson. I was just trying to stop him from leaving, and I think I learned my lesson. But I need him here with me because I'm very sick, and he's the one that takes care of me when I get sick like this. I have blood clots on my brain and blood clots in my legs, and I have kidney failure, and he's the one. When I get out of bed, sometimes I fall down and can't walk, and he's the one that cares for me. And I know nothing like this never happened before. And I also want to say he didn't put the hole in the wall. I thought that he did. So that's why I told the officer that he did. It was my daughter's boyfriend that had put the hole in the wall.
Okay, that's a whole other thing. Your daughter, how old is your daughter?
She's 18.
And she dating somebody who puts holes in the wall?
Yeah, I put them out, Your Honor.
Okay, because my concern there is most domestic violence starts in teenage years. Teenage relationships have an overwhelming number of domestic violence relationships, and people don't get it. So, Ms. Murphy, I'm just going to say what I'm seeing is a pattern of behavior in a family where everybody a little bit of therapy. Your daughter, because she's choosing somebody who's going to put holes in a wall, and you, because you're involved in a situation where it's okay that we've gotten to the point where we're physically violent with each other. I
Well,
get the, and this,
it won't happen again. I learned my lesson from that, and
okay,
it
but Ms.
never
Murphy,
will happen again.
this situation is exactly why courts are cautious, because a lot of times people will say everything is okay, not out of a sense of everything being okay, but a sense of more than I'm afraid of this not being a good situation. I'm sick, and so he cares for me, so I have to make it a good situation. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
You don't have to tell me any more about your situation. Just am I making sense?
You making sense, but he's not a abuser. He's not, and I'm not trying to make no excuses for nobody. But I understand what
Okay.
you're saying, where situations happen and they let stuff go and the person end up dead and stuff. So I understand what you're saying, but he's nowhere near that type of person. But
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do.
Court could
I'm gonna, Miss Davis, Miss Murphy, the attorneys worked out this plea negotiation, which involves no contact. Mr. Kamani has asked that there be no violent or harassing contact because of the situation, I guess you expressed with Mr. Davis helping you with your illness. Does the state have an objection to no, after having heard Ms. Murphy speak, does the state have an objection to no violent or harassing contact?
Yes, Your Honor, the state does.
Great.
All right, so Ms. Murphy, I'm not inclined to vary from what the state has put in place. What I can do is let Mr. Davis complete his family violence intervention program classes, and then the court will review with the understanding that the defense and the state will have input. The court will review the remainder of the probation once he has finished his family violence intervention program class.
Can I say one more thing?
All right.
We lived together and he had nowhere else to go. He had nowhere else to go.
How old is Mr. Davis?
He's 35 years old, and I have no help here with me.
Okay. All right, Miss Murphy, stop crying, man. All right, 1 second.
I can't do this. Do this by myself. Been in and out the hospital 3 times within the last 2 weeks.
Ms. Murphy, do me a favor and mute your camera for me, please.
Okay. You say turn the camera off?
Mute it.
All right. So Miss Murphy, I'm back. And so I'm thinking about it. Let me just say that I'm going to stick with what I said. It'll be no contact currently, but once Mr. Davis has completed his family violence intervention program, then he can ask his probation officer to seek a review of his probationary sentence, and then we can discuss it with the state. So at this time, Mr. Davis, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1 and 3. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 10 days credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to take a family violence intervention program and pay a fine in the amount of $300, $444 with the surcharges. You'll have no contact with Fatima Murphy, but you can have this sentence reviewed after completing the family violence intervention program. And on count 3, that'll be 12 months to serve 10 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended to run concurrent with count 1, and count 2 will merge. All right, Mr. Davis, hold on. I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas is going to explain everything that you need to know about probation. Please make sure that you understand that even if you're unable to do everything else I asked you to do, the one thing you have to do is to report to probation, okay? If you miss your probation reports, that's the quickest way to mess up and to get rearrested, all right? So please make sure that you report to probation. I'm gonna put you in breakout room number 6, the room, and the Mrs. Thomas are in breakout room number 6. Mr. Davis, ask Ms. Thomas any questions that you think you have about how to successfully complete probation. All right. At this time. All right, Ms. Murphy, at this time, you're free to go if you wish to. Thank you.
All right.
Once the courtroom comes back, we'll continue with Merritt and Mosley. Oh, I'm sorry, Mosley has entered a plea of not guilty. We'll continue with Merritt. And then Mr. Johnson has a modification. We'll go ahead and read that into the record.
I'm back from the breakout room, Your Honor.
Mrs. Thomas.
In the same.
All right, Merrick.
I want to go to the you want Mary or Johnson? I want to go to the first one.
Either one. Johnson's good. That's fine.
Man, that's when you
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Johnson, you're before the court because of a suspended sentence. That means that you were before me at another time. You had entered a plea for speeding, driving on a suspended or revoked license and no insurance, and you were told to pay a fine and surcharges. You failed to do that within the time given to you. So an arrest warrant was issued. At this time, sir, I'm going to give you credit for time served in lieu of the fines and fees. And the court is going to give you that credit and release you from jail on this case. Okay, if you have anything else pending that I don't have before me, then I can't control that. But I will give you credit for time served on this case for the failure to pay your fines and fees and complete suspended sentence, okay?
Yeah.
All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office. All right, and Merritt?
Hey, what's the down at the same time? You got this section. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Merritt, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true? Okay, you can put your hand down. You're before the court. You have two cases. So one case has been resolved and you're before the court on count 1, speeding 16 to 20 miles per hour over the limit, no proof of insurance, count 2, distracted driving, count 3, and too fast for conditions, count 4. And this is case 2021 CR 08556. You're represented by Mr. Kamani. And Mr. Kamani has indicated that you wish to enter a plea of nolo to count 1. Counts 2, 3, and 4 will be no prost. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
No.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On August 25th, 2021, an officer observed Mr. Merritt on Garden Walk Boulevard and Medical Center Drive, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. He was observed speeding through a school zone at 57 miles per hour. Yes, and that would conclude the facts, Your Honor. The state is recommending a $85 fine for the speeding and a motion to no press count 2, 3, and 4.
All right, Mr. Kamani.
Yes, Your Honor, he required 30 days to pay the fine.
All right, so Mr. Merritt, it's going to be about $100, a little over, with the $85. There are surcharges. I'll give you 30 days in which to pay. Once you get out of jail, you're going to go downstairs in the building that you're in now, 9151 Terra Boulevard. You'll go to the first floor and ask for your sentencing sheet and give them your name, and then they'll give you that information, so you'll know by what date you have to pay the fines and fees, okay? Also, they'll give you the opportunity to pay online or by phone if you need that, all right? Okay, so as soon as you get out, make sure that you do that. You come over to the clerk's office and get your paperwork if you don't receive it when you exit. All right, so Mr. Merritt, now I understand these cases were 2021, so I'm going to presume that you have now grown past the whole speeding and driving like you crazy situation, right? Okay, so we've matured past that. Because I mean, even the judge had a phase where I had to see what my car could do. But you grow past that. You get enough tickets, you pay enough money, you grow past that, right? Okay, so sir, I'm going to accept your plea of no low to count 1, counts 2, 3, and 4 will be no pros. And when you get out, you go ahead and pay that fine and the $85 fine with plus surcharges within 30 days. And then we're good. Thank you, Mr. Merritt. All right. All right. Is there anything else? We have trial at 1 o'clock. And I will see you guys in the courtroom at 1 for jury selection and any motion.
Your Honor, Mr. Skillings and
Yes.
Mr. Mosley.
Mr. Skillings, we took his plea earlier. He can be taken down. And I don't think we have anybody else. Is there anybody else who's still up, Deputy?
Mr. Mosley.
Mr. Mosley has entered a plea of not guilty, so he can go back with with you.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Patrick, for your 1 o'clock calendar, I'll bring him up as well.
Okay, that's fine. Try if he's able to eat before he comes up, that would be good.
Okay, I'll work on that.
All right, thank you.